This is Kim Meyer, host of Choose to Rise. Thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media.
What's up, everybody? This is Christian Heimel, host of Press Row here on Public House Media. Thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media. Once you're done with this episode, I hope you'll come check out my show, Press Row, where we talk about the biggest issues in sports with the analysts, experts, and reporters who cover them. No nonsense, hard-hitting interviews on the sports topics you're talking about. A new show comes out every single Thursday. And don't forget to subscribe on iTunes so you never miss an episode of Press Row. Thanks again for checking out the following broadcast on Public House Media.
How do you like those 6 points, ladies and gentlemen? Woo, baby. Forward Madison is rolling, the Mingos are flying, and it is a good time to be a Forward Madison fan right now. Welcome into the show. The show is Let Me Be Forward. We are presented by Public House Media. I'm your host, Baxter Colburn. I'm thrilled that you're here for another episode of the show. Only a couple of shows left in our run on the season. We are done April 21st. We made an announcement 2 shows ago that we are going off the air, unfortunately, but we're not going to focus on that. We're going to focus on the time we have left, and we are going to have fun every step of the way. 3 big guests for you this week. Coach Daryl Shore is here, as he always is. The founder of the Fox Valley Flock, Mr. Alex, is here this week. And Madeline Kumm sits down with April Kigeya. You heard her with us at our live show down in Milwaukee at the Hive, and now Maddie and April sit down and have a great conversation about all things Forward Madison and some other fun things as well. I'm grateful that you're here. The show is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your shows, and on publichousemedia.org. If you want to get in touch with us, you can do so by going to Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can find me at Baxter Colburn, and the show is at Let Me Be Forward on Twitter. Instagram is at Let Me Be Forward Podcast. Maddie is at MADDIEKUMM at Maddie Kumm. Come at us. We want to chat. Let's do this thing. We love the show. We love you guys, and we love what it means to be a part of this Forward Madison community. So big props to all of you for your continued support and listenership. You ready to dive into the show? I know I am. It's time for the news and notes from around the soccer world. Couple of big things coming out of MLS this week. Maybe you've heard this, that Wayne Rooney has announced that he will not be with DC United after the season is over. He's been announced as a player coach for Derby Country. So, I mean, I guess, woohoo, good for them. There is also a big rumor right now that Mesut Ozil will be coming into DC United in the absence of Wayne Rooney. Now, wouldn't that just be fascinating to see a guy like Ozil find his way to MLS? Other big news, you have the U.S. Open Cup. You've got Atlanta taking down Orlando 2-0. We will see who will be facing them, either Minnesota United or the Portland Timbers. That game taking place tonight, 7 p.m. on ESPN+. But Atlanta getting a big 2-0 victory, which means the final will be in the beautiful, unbelievable Mercedes-Benz Stadium. So I'm excited to watch that game when it's time for it. Outside of that, let's take a look at some of the games and the scores from around the USL League One matches. This last week, Forward Madison got a 4-1 victory over Toronto FC 2. Lansing Ignite got a 2-0 victory over Chattanooga. Greenville beat Tormenta 1-0, a big upset of the week in my opinion. Lansing beat Orlando 3-0. They got 6 big points just like Forward Madison did. Forward Madison getting a 1-0 victory over FC Tucson. And then Chattanooga, surprise, surprise, beating North Texas 1-0. The standings right now are fascinating. Lansing Ignite with those big 6 points has now jumped up to second place and is now 1 point behind North Texas. North Texas is on a 2-game losing streak. Did you know that? I didn't know that. They're on a 2-game losing streak. They've only won 1 of their last 5 games. So the top 4 right now, North Texas at 34, Lansing Ignite at 33, Georgia Tormenta at 30, Forward Madison at 28, Chattanooga in 5th at 28 as well. So this next slot of games for Forward Madison, 3 of the next 4 games are home, and it's got to be all in at this point for the Mingos. I believe in them. I know you do as well. I'm excited to see how these next couple of games play out because Forward Madison is looking pretty good right now, winning 3 of their last 5 games, only 1 loss and 1 draw from the last 5 matches. All right, Maddie Kumm is ready to get into it, as she always is. So Maddie and April, let's dive into it. Ladies, take it away.
Talk about your role within Mingo Ladies and Featherstone and Flock, because you do dabble in quite a few different groups and subgroups. So maybe just start out with that.
Sure. So I am a co-founder of Featherstone Flamingos and Mingo Ladies. Both are supporter groups underneath the Flock, which is the independent supporter group for Madison FC. And Mingo Ladies was created as a supporter group to support those who identify themselves as women. It kind of gives people a little bit more comfort when you're coming to an event maybe by yourself and you know there's going to be another woman there. Tend to, reach out to or hang out with maybe someone in the Mingo Ladies group. And then Featherstone Flamingos, similar mission, but also to incorporate Black culture into the sport of soccer and to support the players of diverse nature on the team.
So talk about how you started this. I mean, I think, like you said, it definitely brings different obstacles and challenges because they are minority groups where it is African Americans or women, and like you said, women sometimes, I felt this way before, like feeling slightly uncomfortable walking into an atmosphere where maybe I don't see other women there. So talk about the obstacles that you kind of had to overcome to get people to feel comfortable coming to the games and maybe more involved with Mingo Ladies and Featherstone.
Yeah, I think it was just all of us co-founders for both of the groups. We just kind of reached out to people that we knew and kind of had that personal invitation and said, I know this can be an overwhelming group, particularly if you're talking about the tailgate event before the soccer game, but hey, if you come with me, I can introduce you to some other women, I can introduce you to some other people that identify like you, so that when they come to those events, they kind of have somebody to look for. Because what we found in just talking to people that would come to games, sometimes there are quite a few people that were there by themselves and kind of were off to the side. They made the first step in getting there, but then they didn't really know how to engage or talk to other people. So having that identified supporter group kind of helps bridge that gap, and then bring more people to the games and to the sporting events, and then you start to see same people over and over again, and then it becomes more of like a family atmosphere, and that some of that intimidation is gone.
Right, and how did you get people involved? So how many people are in Mingo Ladies, and how many people would you say are in Featherstone? And then you started Featherstone after Mingo Ladies, so maybe talk about how you got that one up and running.
Yeah, we don't really have it's not like a membership list or anything, but for example, on Instagram we have 209 followers for Featherstone, and on Mingo Ladies we have 165. Twitter accounts are similar numbers, but the great thing about those groups is that there are men that are part of Mingo Ladies, and then there are non-African Americans that are part of Featherstone, so it's a support group, but you can also be in the group if you don't identify with those particular demographics. It's just a way to kind of encompass more culture into the soccer, if that makes sense.
It does.
So it's not necessarily like a membership where you have to buy a card or just makes you a member. Anybody that supports the mission is more than welcome to join. So when we hand out stickers, there are a lot of people that aren't females that have the stickers on their computers and their water bottles, which is great to see. Our Featherstone scarf came out over the weekend, and we've tweeted a couple pictures, and on Instagram, people that aren't African American that bought the scarf, which is awesome. So it's just kind of bridging the gap and just incorporating culture as a whole. So it's not necessarily like a membership thing, if that makes sense.
It does. So also, we're 2/3 of the way through the season. We had a conversation back during when we did our live show in Milwaukee, which was months ago. Tell me what's changed since then, looking forward. If you could go back, what would you tell yourself that you know now? And what are maybe your goals to finish out the rest of the season?
Yeah, I think what's changed is we just continue to grow. Literally every Saturday there's 3 or 4 new people that we see at the games or that we've encompassed or talked to. And even last week I was talking to somebody that didn't even know that there was a Madison Pro soccer team in town and they're going to be at the game this Saturday. It's amazing just how many more people we continue to recruit and bring in week after week. I think the support has grown. I mean, even if you follow the USL League attendance records, like Ford Madison keeps breaking attendance records. We have, highest attendance and all these other things, and it keeps growing, which is insane. I think part of it, though, to give Ford Madison credit, a lot of it is the promotional items, because those things are brilliant, how they market that. But it just goes to show that people are still finding out about this, and it's just exciting to think about next year what this team is going to look like. Like, we hope from the supporter standpoint that we have to build or expand the supporter section because, it's at capacity. So, that, I think, is a goal when you talk about, what we're looking for in terms of goals. And also just awareness, right? Just making sure people are aware of the soccer team and that, it's family-friendly. All cultures or backgrounds are welcome. Doesn't matter what you look like, if you have a disability, all those things. We want people to come out and have a good time. And everybody that comes to the games leaves saying the same thing, that they can't wait to come back to the next one.
Wow. No, and that is something that's super cool, and I feel like it's so unique not only to Madison, but these specific supporter groups. Like you said, all the support, even on social media. The promotions are great too, but what you guys are creating is something that goes far beyond soccer, which is so neat. To wrap up, maybe just tell people maybe who are listening who do want to get involved, who maybe have been on the fence about joining a supporter group or Mingo Ladies or Featherstone, how can they contact you or get involved?
Yeah, they can find us, Mingo Ladies and Featherstone. We're on Twitter. So just type in Mingo Ladies, type in Featherstone. Mingo Ladies also has a page on Facebook, and then both accounts are on Instagram as well. So just reach out to us, or you can also reach out to the Flock via the Flock website and get information that way. And just come to a game, come into the supporter section, and we'll welcome you with open arms.
And something that I just want to quick hit on before we leave, you have a unique perspective because you have a son who plays in Green Bay for the Voyageurs. So talk about how maybe that's gotten you more involved with soccer and how that led you to starting these groups and to your knowledge that you have now with it. Because a lot of people don't have that experience.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm a soccer fan only because my son plays soccer, which is why I was initially a soccer fan, I should say. And that led me to when he got asked to play for the Green Bay team back in January, knowing that I wasn't going to be moving to Green Bay. I was like, I still want to be involved. So I looked up the Ford Madison team and found out, about the Flock and reached out to them to get more involved and then help create these supporter groups. So that kind of got me into it. It's neat to be able to have both sides, USL League One here in Madison, and then support the USL League Two Green Bay team, which it was their first year. And I think for a first-year team, they did an amazing job. The team had great chemistry. I mean, they were kids from all over the country and outside of the country that came to play. So I mean, it was just a great experience being able to see both sides and be at games for both teams. Right,
and it's crazy how things are connected, and it creates this, one huge culture between Green Bay and Madison. So that's something that's super cool. But thank you so much for sitting down with me and taking the time to talk about all of your super cool endeavors that you've done. I know it's only going to get bigger from here, and it's been so cool to watch the journey over the past few months.
Time now for our weekly conversation with Forward Madison head coach Daryl Shore. We talked about it as we signed off last week about it'd be great to talk about 6 points the next time we talk. And sure enough, that's what we get to do this week. So, Coach, congratulations on 2 big wins and welcome back to the show.
Thanks, Baxter. It's good to be back as always, and even better to talk about 6 points.
Absolutely, and 2 big wins against 2 formidable opponents. Let's start with that 4-1 victory at Toronto. Toronto, at least what we've seen this season from a lot of other teams, not a fortress in a sense, but the travel for a lot of teams is hard, and sometimes they don't always come up, and TFC does a good job sometimes of taking advantage of that. But it seemed like you guys had TFC2 on the back foot right out of the gate and really started to pour it on, and it was great to see a lot of different players get on the score sheet this time.
Yeah, it was. It's a tough place to go play because it's you play at 4:00 in the afternoon. It's a midweek game. There's not really a great atmosphere there because there's maybe, if you get your hands and toes out, you can count the amount of fans that go to the games. But
sure. At
the same time, it was a new challenge for us because they had 6 guys from their first team playing in this match. So another challenge for our group, and our guys were up for it. And we had talked about us wanting to start our playoffs a little bit early, and we knew this was going to be a good test, that we were going to have to go on the road and try and get some results, and felt like this would be a good opportunity for us. So credit to the guys for going into the game with the right mentality and the right attitude, and really showed in their work rate and their ability to get the first goal, and then obviously to have the second half that we had was really good for the guys.
Where do you place the performance of a guy like Paulo Jr. in that game? Obviously, 2 very important goals. He obviously has been in and out of scoring this season, but that veteran leadership, you and I have talked about him on the show many times in the past, but he pops up in a game, obviously, as you mentioned, your playoff start early, and 2 big goals out of him, which I'm sure was very helpful.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that I think a lot of fans aren't seeing from Paulo is not just the stuff that he does on the ball when we're in the attack, but his defending the last month of the season has been absolutely outstanding, and not just Paulo's, but our whole group. And
correct, yeah.
The work rate, the work rate that he's putting on the defensive side of the ball, even he and I were talking, and he said it's actually helped him when we get into the attack, because now he's starting in a little bit deeper position on the field, and now he's able to see what's in front of him. And now he can pick and choose when to run in behind defenses, and also when to, come get on the ball and make those different choices. So, we know guys like Paulo and Don are going to get opportunities to score, and there's going to be days when they score, and there's going to be days when they don't. And it's up to the rest of the group to pick them up. So it's, again, we needed some of our veteran guys to have good performances on a Wednesday, following up the performance that we had against Orlando. So credit to Paulo, but also credit to the other guys as well that really stepped up, and again, like we said, had the right mentality going into the game, and really understood the importance of us getting the full 3 points on the road.
So you get the 3 points on the road, and then you come back home and you get a 1-0 victory against FC Tucson. Don Smart with a really class goal, in my opinion. I've seen only a handful of those types of goals, so it was really special from him. Something about that right side of the box, Coach. Just keep playing him wide and let him do his thing out there, I think. But break that down, a little bit closer of a game after what felt like a goal fest midweek.
Yeah, I mean, we made maybe some people would say an interesting decision, but we made a tough decision to go ahead and play the same group in all 3 of our games. And
yes,
the last one was a little bit of a decision that we went with. Probably could have gotten away with not resting, but sitting a couple of guys that had logged a lot of minutes. But we also felt like at the moment these are big games, and the group had done so well in the first 2 games that we felt they deserved another chance to get another 3 points. And I don't think on the night it was our best night with the ball. But then again, we went back and watched video and showed video on Tuesday to the group, and it's not as bad as we thought it was. We weren't great on the ball, but our defending once again was really good. And you got to give a guy like Wyatt Omsberg credit for clearing the ball off the line.
Yes,
but we also hit the post in the first half, and we just kind of hung in there and kind of gritted it out. And then Don, the goal is an unbelievable goal, and it's probably one of the better cross shots you'll see in soccer. But credit to Don. I mean, he's in the right place It's a great build-up, and then Josiel finds him out on the right flank. So the pass was good, and then the finish is spectacular. So, but again, a group effort, guys, fighting and clawing, and you got to give a guy like Brian Sylvester credit because he comes in after not having played in a couple weeks and makes a big save at the end of the game and was really good with his feet, with his distribution throughout the entire game, and his crossing, coming for crosses and stuff was really good. So again, it was another group performance where we've tightened up our defending quite a bit, and to have 2 shutouts or to allow 1 goal in the last 3 games is just as exciting as getting to 9 points.
Exactly right. I want to look ahead to Richmond. It's kind of unique, at least from what I've understood, that you get to play a team 3 times in the course of just a couple of weeks this late in the season. Give me your scouting report on Richmond. They've won their last 2 games. Obviously, they're in 9th place, 5-9-3 on the season, a -8 goal differential. So they've been a little bit all over the place as far as their consistency. They've beat a couple of good teams this season, but it seems like they are kind of now finding their stride again, but at the same time, they've been pretty down for most of the season.
Yeah, I mean, look, you're talking about now a team that's won their last 2 games, and so now they go and they're on a bye week this week. So once again, even though we get a full week to recover, we're still a team that's played 3 games in a row in a week, and now they haven't played in a week, so they'll be well rested. Gives them a chance to kind of if they have any injuries, it gives them a chance to deal with that and get guys healthy. But they still have players that are dangerous. Dennis Chin, their target forward up top. Joe Gallardo's an attacking midfielder who, if we're not good and aware of defensively, he's a guy that can hurt us. We'll see what they do in goal. Obviously, Akira Fitzgerald has been their goalkeeper. He got red carded in the game before, so he didn't play the last game, which was a solid win for them, 2-1 at Toronto as well. So, like you said, that their last game is a win at Toronto, so they're capable of beating teams, and they're obviously, the Richmond Kickers are a storied club, so they have a lot of pride and they play hard every game, and so this is a game where if we don't come out and really set the tone from the opening whistle, this is a game that won't be easy for us. So, we're expecting a good game. Again, they play 5 in the back or 3 in the back, however you want to look at it, with 2 wing backs that like to get forward. They're a good possession-oriented team, so they'll try and keep the ball a little bit. But we've said this now the last few games. This is the time of the season where it's not about our opponent, it's about us. And it's about making sure that we're coming out with the right mentality and we're coming out knowing that if we play the way we're capable of playing, then we feel that it's going to be hard for teams to beat us, especially coming in to our stadium and playing in front of our home fans. And what our crowds have been like this year is once again just tremendous. And so looking forward to the challenge, but we're also looking forward to getting another win and making it 4 in a row. And again, we talked about in the last game for our team, we want to be ascending at the right moments. And right now we feel like we're going in the right direction.
Exactly right. 5-2-2 at home this season in USL League One play, and a 3-game streak right now, 3-1-1 over the last 5 matches. Coach Shore, always a pleasure, sir, and let's have some fun and talk to you again next week.
All right, Baxter. Sounds great, and have a great night.
Time now for our weekly supporters section interview, where we have an opportunity to interview somebody in the supporters section that is a driving force behind Forward Madison. This week, many of you know that there are many social media followings that you can do to be up with the team. There's many supporters groups around the country and around the world. Today, we are headed to the Fox Valley to talk to the founder of the Fox Valley Flock. They've got one of the coolest logos I've seen to date. We are talking with the founder of the group. They brand themselves as an independent supporters group following the newest professional soccer team in Wisconsin, Forward Madison FC, and we've got the founder with us, Alex, on the show today. Hello, Alex. Welcome to Let Me Be Forward, sir.
Yeah, happy to be here. Big fan of the show, so glad I could be on this week with you.
Thank you very much, Alex. We appreciate the support, and we are excited to have you on. I have to ask right out of the gate, man, how did you come up with that logo? Because if nobody's seen it before, first of all, go over to Twitter and look, but it is amazing because that is just a really, really sharp-looking logo.
Yeah, I am actually not the brainchild behind it. I work with some brilliant artists at my full-time job, so I enlisted the help of one of them, told them that we had this idea of incorporating a fox and then somehow using the flock, the feather part of it, and just using that sort of as a tail for the fox. And she came up with that brilliant design and just kind of seamlessly incorporated them, and I am so happy with how it turned out. It's absolutely perfect. And
I 100% agree with you. Yeah, absolutely gorgeous. I need to get me some Fox Valley Flock gear, honestly, because it's a sharp-looking, just even logo to have on a piece of athletic apparel. You've got the link on your Twitter bio that people can go and they can get some of the apparel that you guys sell as well. But I guess it's always fun for me because I love hearing people's origin stories. How did you get involved with Forward Madison? Because it's so cool because everybody's story is just a little bit different. What drew you to, number one, create a supporters group, and number two, say, hey, this soccer team looks cool. I'm going to go be a fan of them and support them.
Yeah, absolutely. So my soccer story in general sort of started after the 2014 World Cup. Got really into that tournament and just kind of wanted to keep up with soccer because I played my whole life but never really watched. So after the 2014 World Cup, became a big supporter of Sporting Kansas City because they had a couple of national team players that I wanted to keep up with. And then, made it down there for a couple of games, loved it, loved every second of it. Went to their U.S. Open Cup championship and was there for that, so that was pretty crazy. And I just knew that as soon as Wisconsin had a team, I had to be on the ground floor. I had to be a part of it. And I wanted to bring what I experienced there and get it closer to home. So when the Madison team was announced, I was like, yep, I'm going to be there. I want to help however I can. So I reached out to Andrew and the flock and said, hey, what can I do? And he said, if we could use some help, if you want to start your own group up in the Fox Valley, that would be a great help and we can expand that way. So I figured, not everybody can drive an hour and a half or 2 hours to, all the events and all the games. So if we can start a community a little bit further away but still support the team from, my home, that's absolutely a great way to do it too.
Exactly right, and I think that's been a really cool part about it, to see that this team is such a international phenomenon. It's great that there are people in Europe that have watch parties. There's people in different states. We talk about the Flamingo. He's got a great little pot of people down in the Florida area, and the Fox Valley area, of course, is kind of that in-betweener because Green Bay, yes, they just got the Voyagers, but then there's really that kind of that dead zone all the way till you get to Madison and Milwaukee. There's not a lot of stuff to help the soccer lovers there. So what is the support? What is the turnout? What are you doing as a supporters group in that area to get people in the door to support this club?
Yeah, so we're still, it's fairly small at this point. We did have one official watch party so far this year. Had a decent turnout, a few people coming in, but it wasn't quite what I had expected. I sort of expected, build it and they'll come. Type mentality, but it appears to be requiring a little bit more work than that. So right now, I do have a few people that are interested. The merch you talked about has gone pretty well. We've got a few sales there, so people are definitely interested. But right now, it's getting with different members of the community, different organizations here, whether that be, maybe American Outlaws or the Nordiques, the Supporters Club for the Voyagers. And just working with all those people and making sure that we do have a community where people feel welcome. And then when they show up to those events that, it is something that they want to keep coming to, keep coming back to, and really give them something that they can do again, in their hometown where they're at.
Absolutely. And you talk about the community. That's a big aspect, I think, of what Forward Madison and just other supporters groups have done so well at a high level. What is your vision for the Fox Valley Flock? Is it, is it community engagement? Is it helping out different nonprofits? Is it, youth soccer camps? Where is your vision the next couple of years?
Yeah, exactly. So you mentioned youth, and that's a big thing in the Fox Valley. We have, national tournaments where, clubs from all over the country come and play in little old Appleton, and they have a huge soccer complex there. So I think that really focusing on where we can help in that part of the community, build those young fans and get them involved, absolutely volunteer where we can, and really make that a part of the big, the whole goal of what we can accomplish and give back, just like, the Flock is doing in Madison. We want to do that same thing here in Appleton as well.
And that's fantastic to hear. Yeah, I know many folks that are in the Wisconsin soccer circuit. They know all about the big soccer complex in the Appleton area, and it's definitely a big hub when it comes to those bigger matches for younger youth and for tournaments throughout the state and throughout the country as well. I've got to ask too, how many games have you been able to get down to? Have you, what are your thoughts? What do you like about being at Bree Stevens this year? If you had a chance to get to any of those games yet?
Oh yeah, I'm actually a season ticket holder, so I've got my season tickets for the Flock end. Been down to most of them, missed a couple here and there with, other obligations, but I'm really trying to get down as often as I can because, like I said, those game day atmospheres is really what brought me into the sport and the way that I think that I can, introduce some more of my friends and family even to it, get them out to a game, get them down there. So I've been a pretty decent part of it, keeping in touch with all of the board members of the Flock and helping out on game day where I can. Thankfully, this last weekend, I was able to get up on the capo stand again, actually. So,
awesome.
Recovering from a little bit of a lost voice. But, really, I love it down there. It's honestly way more than, you could have ever expected from this first-year team. And I plan on being down there as often as I can.
Absolutely. And, I know the team as a whole appreciates your support, appreciates the just growth and the community that you're providing in the Fox Valley, but also just adding to the arsenal that is the Flock as a whole. So I know that's exciting, and it's always cool to see where the transitions and where the people's origin stories begin as they get involved with the new organization. So we got to let you run, but I appreciate you being a part of the show this week. If people want to get involved with the Fox Valley Flock, what's the best way to do so?
Yeah, so social media is absolutely the best way to reach out to us. You can find us on Twitter and Facebook. We're both out there. Feel free to send us any messages. The DMs are open. So if people want to get involved, absolutely, we're looking for more help. I'm kind of running on my own for now, but we're always looking for more people. And absolutely, the more hands we have on deck, the more we can get done.
Well, there you go. You hear that. If you're in the Fox Valley, Green Bay area, you can reach out on Twitter. That's how we got a hold of Alex at FVFlock on Twitter. They are looking for help and looking for more involvement. So, Alex, the founder of Fox Valley Flock, thank you, sir, for coming on the show this week. We appreciate it. Time now for the Loon Report, your weekly look inside Forward Madison Partner Club, Minnesota United. The Loons are rolling. They get a 1-0 victory on a 92nd minute penalty kick conversion by the local boy, Ethan Finley. And with that win, looking at the standings, there they are in second place in the Western Conference standings. Oh my goodness. How funny has this season been? Ever since we've been doing the show, we've watched the Loons continue to climb and climb and climb, and now second place. Yes, they are technically in a three-way tie with San Jose and the Sounders. The Galaxy only 1 point behind them. Still many points behind LAFC, who's in first with 54 points. But still, the Loons getting a big victory thanks to Ethan Finley over the Portland Timbers. That keeps the Timbers out of the playoffs as of right now. They've only got 31 total points, and the Western Conference continues to just be star-studded and full of excitement. What else is happening in Minnesota United news? Well, the U.S. Open Cup semifinals feature the Minnesota United, and they will be playing the Portland Timbers once again at Allianz Field. So Portland, they got a good taste of what this game could look like, and now they've got to go and try to fight for a shot to go play some hardware, and this one is going to be a cracker. For the second time in 4 days, they're going to meet. A trip to the U.S. Open Cup final is on the line for both teams. So a big, exciting moment for both squads as they look to go out and see what they can do. I like Minnesota United's chances in this game. I think they're going to win. I think Portland's going to score, but it's going to be a 2-1 Minnesota United victory, and they're headed off to the finals. That's this week's edition of the Loon Report, your weekly look inside Forward Madison Partner Club, Minnesota United. I still can't believe that we got 6 points in the last 2 games. I'm thrilled for Forward Madison right now that they were able to do that and now find themselves in a playoff spot. The playoffs, man, if they started today, would be really fun. North Texas, Lansing Ignite, Tormenta, and Forward Madison. I kind of feel like Forward Madison would get a shot at least playing in the championship. I think they would win the semifinal game regardless of who they played. And I really, truly believe in my heart that they would get an honest-to-goodness shot at playing in the championship. Call me crazy, but I truly believe that's the case. If the playoffs started today with the 4 teams in, I'd take Forward Madison over any team in a one-game playoff. And when it comes to the championship, I mean, all cards are off on that one. It's anybody's game at that point. But in a one-game playoff situation, especially if it got to be a home game, so they need to get a little bit higher up the table for a home game, but they would still... Oh my goodness. Can you imagine a home playoff game with Breeze Stevens? Whoo, baby. We would break 5,000 people at that match. It would be insanity. So what are your takeaways from this game? Mine are pretty simple. The offense is flowing. The defense is stopping. The goalkeepers are hot. And you can't touch Forward Madison right now. 3 big wins. And this is exactly what Daryl Shore and his squad needed to do at this point. They have scored 5 goals in the last 3 games, only conceding 1 goal. They have not lost a game going back to July the 9th, and that was that 3-2 ridiculous game against Lansing, which we don't need to talk about. But during the month of July, they only lost 1 game. You go to August so far, undefeated. But then you look at the next 4 games. Richmond, Greenville, Richmond, Greenville. 3 of those 4 games are at home. I know Greenville's been rolling right now, and Greenville right at the moment appears to be a big contender for that 4th playoff spot, along with Chattanooga as well. But mark my words, Forward Madison has the edge. They just need to show up and take care of business. And they're going to do that via Don Smart. And we asked the question on Twitter this week, which many of you did a great job of responding to. Nobody offered any real oppositions to what we were saying. So the question that we asked was, I think, pretty straightforward. What we said is, can you, at this point in the season, officially agree that Don Smart is the most valuable player on Forward Madison? If you don't agree, who is? You can't look me in the face or tweet at me or do literally anything else and tell me that Don Smart, if you took him out of this team right now, would not be considered the most valuable player in Forward Madison. It's just not conceivable. Now, there were some good comments and some good thoughts about maybe Eric Leonard and some of these other guys. Completely understand. But the reality is Don Smart, if you take away his goals, you take away his assists, you take away his playmaking, it's just not the same team. That's the reality of it. If you think I'm wrong, at Baxter Colburn on Twitter, at Let Me Be Forward, I'd love to hear from you, but I truly believe that. And in my opinion, if you think that you don't think that Don Smart is the most valuable player, you need to go back and watch some highlights because you're completely wrong and completely mistaken. I will say, Flamingo, he made a great comment on Twitter. He said, agreed about the turnaround has been fed through Don Smart. Honestly, though, what has been the most consistent group on the field, though, has been Eric Leonard, Connor Tobin, Christian Diaz, and Carter Manley. Completely agree. He said Ohmsberg deserves a ton of credit as well. 100% agree. The defense has been just phenomenal. And it doesn't matter who's been in goal. All of them have really started to step in and play at an incredibly high level. So I'm very proud of the defense for the way they've done that as well. We also put it out there this week that if you had any questions that you wanted to send in to our mailbag, we have 3 questions for this week. So let me pull those up here. So the 3 questions that we received this week are, we see here, Tim asked, does Don Smart finish with plus or minus 10 regular season goals? He is going to finish, it's a great question. My honest gut opinion is he's going to get 10 goals exactly on the season. He still's got a couple more sitting in the bag, and I think Richmond is going to be a great time for him to do that. So I think he hits right at 10, in my personal opinion. Tim also submitted 2 other questions. He said final playoff predictions. Playoffs are not final standings, top 4 teams in order. Baxter Colburn, explain. Oh, man, you're really making me get after it. You know what? I look at the top 4 right now, and I say, here's what it is. North Texas is going to finish 1. Lansing is going to fall. Actually, you know what? No, Lansing is going to stay in 2nd. Forward Madison's going to jump to 3. And Tormenta is going to fall to 4. My dark horse in all of this is Greenville. Greenville could find a way to slot into 4 and push Tormenta out of the standings. So North Texas is, yes, they've lost the last 2 games, but they're playing at they're still a very good team. They're not going to not make the playoffs, and they're going to be 1 or 2 at the end of the year. My bet is number 1. Lansing, I think, will hold on to number 2. Forward's going to jump up to 3, and then number 4 is going to be a battle between Tormenta and Greenville. Sorry, Chattanooga, you're too inconsistent. You're going to blow up and just go down in ashes in these last couple of games. So that's just the reality, in my personal opinion. Finally, aside from Don, Tim asks, who would you expect to have the biggest impact on the team down the stretch? Also, who needs to step up? Great question. There's not one specific player in my mind. I would love to see more out of Josiel Nunez. Josiel has been somebody that I felt like started the season really well, but has dropped off. I know he's been very good defensively and distribution-wise. That's phenomenal. But he's a very exciting player with a lot of flair. Let that man take some more shots. He needs to step up more and get a couple more goals in the back of the net. Outside of that, the defense just needs to stay what it's doing. That's kind of the big case. And I'd love to see Oliver White and Louis Bennett continue to keep contributing at a high level. Louis Bennett's done a great job on the wing. Oliver White's played really solid at top as well. So all of those players, all of those groupings, in my opinion, are doing nothing but good things for Forward Madison at this point. So if you have any thoughts, questions, comments, concerns, ideas about who you think maybe should else be on that list, I'd love to hear from you. You can find me on Twitter at Baxter Colburn, at Let Me Be Forward. You know where to find us. That's all we got for this episode of Let Me Be Forward. I thank you for listening. A big shout out to Daryl Shore, to the Fox Valley Flock founder, Alex, for joining us, and for April Kigeya for sitting down with our own Madeline Kumm. The show comes out every Wednesday until April 21st. We are presented by Public House Media. Thank you for listening, and we will see you on another edition of Let Me Be Forward next week.